Take a breath with me, not to escape anything, not to fix anything, not to become anything new, just to notice. There is a moment happening right now that has never happened before and will never happen again. The air touching your skin, the quiet hum beneath sound, the subtle rhythm of your body at rest, the unfolding of a world that does not repeat itself. And yet, how often are we absent from it? How often does something unseen take the seat at the center of our awareness, replaying yesterday, rehearsing tomorrow, tightening the chest, quickening the pulse, whispering that something is missing, something is wrong, something must be secured? We call it thinking, we call it planning, we call it being responsible. But what if it is something else? What if there is a single place inside of you, a center frame, where only one thing can live at a time? And what if your entire experience of suffering or peace depends on what occupies that seat? Tonight, we are not talking about meditation. We are not talking about belief. We are not talking about discipline in the traditional sense. We are talking about architecture, the architecture of awareness, the difference between the present self, whole, unbroken, already complete in matter, shaped by survival, memory, conditioning, and reward. We are talking about how psychological time, the past that no longer exists and the future that cannot be written, quietly takes control of your center frame and calls itself you. And we are going to collapse it, gently, beautifully, without force. We will explore what happens when you see that the past is only neural trace, that the future is only simulation, and that the only real movement is the forward stroke of unfolding presence, the divine hand writing reality in this very instant. The wind bending a branch, a car passing never to return in that exact pattern, a cloud dissolving into sky, the quiet miracle of your own breath. Nothing mystical, nothing dramatic, just the majesty of now. When center frame is free, resonance flows. When resonance flows, action becomes clear. And when action is clear, life no longer feels like a battle against time. This episode introduces a new white paper, The Majesty of Now, Center Frame, and the Collapse of Psychological Time. We are going to walk through the science of the tyrant, the biology of conditioning, the illusion of past and future, and the simple, immediate sovereignty that restores communion. No effort, no suppression, no ritual, only awareness. This walk begins now. I'm Patrick Carradine, and this is Unified Theistic Naturalism, The Majesty of Now, Center Frame, and the Collapse of Psychological Time. Abstract. This white paper introduces a structural model of human awareness centered on three foundational loci: the present self, matter in its conditioned evolutionary state, and center frame. It argues that psychological suffering is not rooted in external events, but in the occupation of center frame by psychological time, memory replayed as past and projection simulated as future. Drawing from neuroscience, evolutionary biology, epigenetics, somatic encoding, and behavioral conditioning, this work demonstrates how matter, shaped over millennia for survival, naturally dominates awareness through reward, punishment, and anticipatory threat modeling. This conditioned dominance creates oscillation, the constant movement between avoidance of pain and pursuit of pleasure. Yet only one thing may occupy center frame at a time. When unrequested thought occupies it, psychological time is born. When awareness rests in the unfolding immediacy of now, the observable, irretrievable motion of reality, psychological time collapses. In that collapse, the tyrant loses jurisdiction. This paper proposes that resonant flow is the natural baseline state when center frame remains unoccupied by psychological time, and that perfect action emerges spontaneously from this state without internal conflict. The majesty of now is not mystical elevation, but structural sovereignty. Introduction. The three loci of human awareness. This model rests on three interconnected realities. 1. The present self, the unfractured capacity for awareness. It does not evolve, repair, or accumulate. It is whole. 2. Matter, the biological and conditioned apparatus shaped by evolutionary survival programming, epigenetic inheritance, somatic memory, cultural imprinting, reward, punishment circuitry, collective conditioning. 3. Center frame, the singular seat of conscious occupation. Only one thing may reside here at a time. Human experience is determined not by circumstance, but by what occupies center frame. 2. The science of the tyrant matter evolved to detect threat, secure reward, and anticipate survival outcomes. This is neurologically observable through limbic system reactivity, dopaminergic reward loops, cortisol-driven stress responses, predictive processing models. In cognitive neuroscience, the brain constantly simulates possible futures using stored memory. It binds pain to avoidance and pleasure to pursuit. Over time, identity forms around these simulations. This mechanism is efficient for survival. It is destabilizing for sovereignty. Psychological time emerges when memory occupies center frame as past regret or future projection. The individual standing today is already the sum total of prior experience. The past cannot be re-entered. It exists only as neural trace. Likewise, the projected future is a partial simulation incapable of accounting for the infinite micromovements occurring across biological, planetary, and cosmic systems simultaneously. The tyrant attempts to script what it cannot comprehend. 3. The collapse of psychological time. Consider observable reality. Wind bending branches, a wasp circling, vehicles passing never to repeat, clouds shifting molecularly, microorganisms moving unseen, galaxies rotating beyond perception. The mind cannot script this totality. It cannot account for all variables. It is not omnipresent. What remains real is unfolding presence, the ceaseless generative advance of reality. In each micro-movement, matter is bound into form. This is the only future that exists, the immediate forward stroke of unfolding. When awareness rests in this unfolding, center frame is occupied by immediacy rather than simulation. Psychological time collapses instantly. No suppression is required. No prolonged effort is necessary. Observation displaces occupation. 4. Resonant flow. The unoccupied center frame resonant flow is the baseline condition when center frame is free from unrequested psychological content. It is characterized by nervous system coherence, absence of anticipatory bracing, absence of regret loops, relaxed but alert posture, openness without hypervigilance. This state is not created. It is revealed when psychological time subsides. When matter becomes aware it is being observed, its autonomous occupation weakens. Repeated observation retrains conditioned dominance. Matter returns to its proper role, tool rather than tyrant. Perfect action when decisions arise from resonant flow. Action is not reaction. It is not defensive. It is not compensatory. It does not seek to alter what is from attachment. Perfect action emerges from structural alignment. It is timely, proportionate, and free from internal conflict. Neurobiologically, this corresponds to integrated prefrontal limbic coherence rather than limbic override. Perfect action does not require rehearsed morality. It arises naturally from unoccupied center frame. 6. Conflict as diagnostic. When interaction destabilizes baseline presence, attachment is revealed. Oscillation indicates that center frame has been reoccupied by psychological time. Conflict becomes diagnostic rather than dramatic. The objective is not suppression of emotion but immediate return to unfolding presence. This relocation restores sovereignty without aggression. Conclusion: the majesty of now is structural, not sentimental. The present self is already whole. Matter is conditioned but not sovereign. Center frame determines experience. Psychological time collapses the moment awareness rests in unfolding presence. In that collapse, the tyrant subsides. Resonant flow stabilizes. Perfect action emerges. Nothing mystical is added. Nothing external is required. The pen is already moving. The only enduring question is jurisdiction. Who occupies your center frame? 7 reflective questions. 1. What occupies your center frame most frequently? Unfolding presence or unrequested thought? 2. When thought arises, did you request it, or did it assume authority? 3. Can you distinguish between memory as reference and memory as identity? 4. When conflict arises, are you reacting to what is or to how you want it altered? 5. If the past exists only as neural trace, what are you defending? 6. If the mind cannot script the total unfolding of reality, what future are you attempting to secure? 7. What would change if center frame remained sovereign unless deliberately called upon? Canonical reference block Principia Communio, axioms and laws of unified theistic naturalism, all structural definitions of presence-resonant flow, perfect action, and oscillation derived from the canonical framework established in Principia Communio. And so here we are, not at the end of something, but at the quiet recognition of what has always been here. If you have listened closely, you may feel it now, not excitement, not intensity, but a soft steadiness, a widening, a gentle clarity that does not argue, does not strain, does not need to win. The majesty of now was never waiting in the future. It was never hidden in memory. It was not buried beneath your mistakes, nor postponed by your ambitions. It has been unfolding without interruption, wind bending branches, clouds shifting shape, breath rising and falling, the silent forward stroke of presence binding matter into form. And somewhere in this walk, perhaps you notice something extraordinary. When center frame is free, there is nothing to defend. When psychological time collapses, there is nothing to chase. When the tyrant subsides, there is no war, only unfolding. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not late to your own life. You are the image of wholeness standing in the only place that exists, now, watching the divine hand write reality in real time. From here, action becomes clean. From here, love is not bargaining. From here, conflict becomes revelation. From here, sovereignty is simple. If this walk stirred something in you, if you felt even a flicker of recognition, 3 doorways are gently open, not as obligations, not as assignments, but as invitations. Doorway 1. Until death, there's no start. This work dissolves the illusion of delay. It explores the belief that life begins later, after success, after healing, after permission. It reveals that waiting is the final disguise of psychological time, and that paradise has never been postponed. If you sense that you are still preparing to live, this doorway will meet you there. Doorway 2. The silence that speaks, rethinking prayer, gifts, and the divine voice. This journey reframes communication with the divine. It asks, what if the divine has never been silent? What if movement itself is the only voice? It dissolves the negotiation model of prayer and reveals communion as immediate resonance rather than request. If you are listening for something sacred, this doorway will meet you there. Doorway 3. The marketplace of robes. Here we walk through the great frameworks of humanity, religion, philosophy, science, self-help, and see how each robe reflects and conceals the unwavering line. It is not a condemnation of tradition, but a revelation of what cannot be purchased, communion itself. If you are searching among systems for something deeper, this doorway will meet you there. Whichever doorway you choose gently, choose curiously, choose not from lack, but from resonance. And when you step through, know this, I will meet you there. I am Patrick Carradine, and this is Unified Theistic Naturalism.